was only a few months ago that I made an episode all about how the Chiefs' offense had completely collapsed, and to be honest, they had. They looked tired, beat up, out of rhythm, way less explosive, and were downright bad. At one point, they found themselves last in the AFC West, and their offense was struggling so bad it seemed like defenses had actually unearthed the secrets to neutralizing them. It wasn't just a slump or a couple of game skid. Defenses had schematically shifted towards new tactics that were actually working. Heading into Week 7 with their record at 3-3, that's when their offense really fell off a cliff, scoring just 3 points against the Titans, and in the next 5 games they averaged just 19 points a pop. They couldn't run, they couldn't pass, their stars looked burned out, and there were serious questions about what was wrong that I tried to uncover. But then they blew the hell up. From weeks 14 on, they were their same old selves, back better than ever. 37 points a game, explosive offense all over the field, Jackson Mahomes dancing harder than ever. Yeah, the Chiefs are back, baby. But it wasn't because they figured out how to attack the way defenses were playing them, but defenses shifted away from what was working after the adjustments the Chiefs made. To fully understand the arc of their fall and come up, we'll break down each into 2 individual parts. First, how defenses shifted their schemes to confound them early in the year, and then what the Chiefs did to rebound and dominate. But real quick, I want to tell you all about this week's sponsor, Albert. Albert is a new kind of money management banking app that isn't quite like anything you've used before. They combine banking, savings, investing, and budgeting into just one place instead of using a bunch of different apps for each. They're not like traditional banks that charge you $35 overdraft fees, charge you for having a checking and savings account, or make you wait hours on hold to talk to a real-life human. Albert takes all of those issues, turns them on their head, and makes them, well, better. They have a team of financial experts they call geniuses that look at your situation and help you make a plan to better save, invest, and maximize your money. They're here at any time for questions if you get stuck, and work hard to make sure you make great decisions. Albert is free to sign up for, it helps you save automatically, you get 5 to 20% cash back on purchases from places like McDonald's, Walmart, Starbucks, all those kind of spots. They never charge you overdraft fees ever, and there's 0 delay when you request your money. If you want to find a better and more efficient way to go about your banking, all you have to do is click the link in the description box to download the Albert app today. For a limited time, when you open an account and connect a qualifying direct deposit, you'll get $150 just like that. So, thanks to them, and now let's get back to the show. The theme of the episode from 2 months ago was focused on all the adjustments defenses had made against the Chiefs. In their 19 points per game stretch from week 7 to 13, Mahomes completed just 60% of his passes for 6.3 yards per attempt and an 80 quarterback rating. But then from weeks 14 on, 70% of his passes for 8.1 yards per attempt and a 113 rating. During their struggles, defenses utilized several extremely successful tactics like using 2 deep safeties, playing incredibly soft zone coverage, and not blitzing Mahomes. They used those 2 deep safeties to take away the threat of Tyreek Hill's speed and a lot of the explosive plays in the Chiefs' offense. By playing soft zones, they kept everything in front of them, which forced Mahomes to stay patient and dink and dunk, and by not blitzing, they kept him in the pocket longer to make him wait for routes to develop, which he struggled with. The answer to these defensive adjustments isn't so much on Mahomes as it is on Andy Reid. The Chiefs needed to pound the ball, run the rock, whatever you want to call it. Defenses were begging them to run, but they weren't willing to do it. By playing a second safety deep, that gives up the advantage in the run game since there are fewer defenders. But in that 7-week stretch, the Chiefs had the second highest pass rate, so defenses played him softer than ever. They knew Mahomes didn't want to take the underneath stuff, so they sat back, played over the top of everything, and just watched him forgo checkdowns or quick routes, run arounds, and ultimately do nothing. The Chiefs had really become a blend of like a Madden team throwing way too much, quarterbacks scrambling all over the place, and a sort of fantasy football team just relying on Mahomes, Tyreek, and Kelsey. They needed to become a complete, balanced team that ran the ball and utilized their entire roster, so that's exactly what they did. Late in the season, the second time they whooped the crap out of the Raiders was when they started to change. From weeks 14 to 18, they made a couple of key alterations that got them back on track. Their run rate jumped 9 percentage points from second lowest to middle of the pack. Instead of tons of 3 wide receiver personnel, they took the third off and started playing a lot more 2 tight ends or 2 running back packages, increasing each by 6%. And they started putting Mahomes under center more instead of living in shotgun. Playing under center and using a fullback are both extremely beneficial to a run game since it increases the amount of run concepts you can call. The run game is all about timing, and it's much easier to sync up your timing under center than it is in shotgun. The Bengals are playing their 2 deep coverage to keep the Chiefs receivers in front of them, but by keeping 2 of them deep, that takes 1 extra body out of the box and begs them to run. The Chiefs are in their 2 running back personnel and are running GF counter, which has these O linemen down block these D linemen, which is easier due to the angles of the Bengals front. Fullback Anthony Sherman traps the defensive end Sam Hubbard, and left guard Nick Allegretti wraps for the linebacker Marcus Bailey. Hubbard uses what's called a box technique to hit Sherman's outside shoulder, which is used to keep the running back inside. If he used a spill technique, he'd hit Sherman's inside shoulder to force the run out, but he's trying to box the run inside to his help. The problem is, the Bengals have 2 high safeties to stop the pass, so Hubbard is boxing the run inside to nobody. The Chiefs have a hat for a hat, and the safeties are so far deep, it makes it harder for them to tackle in space. The Chiefs haven't necessarily figured out how to dominate 2 high coverages better, they're just now playing complementary football to force defenses back into 1 high coverages, which is what they've ripped up during Mahomes' entire career. Defenses have been daring them to run, and now they finally are. And when that happens and they have some success, defenses bring that second safety down into the box, and the Chiefs are once again off to the races, back to their same old selves. Take a look at this formation at the bottom with the 2 tight ends and the Chiefs motioning Tyreek across. The Bengals are playing a form of quarters with 4 deep defenders, and the Chiefs are going to try and run this double post concept. The key to this play is the corner Eli Apple's technique, and he understands his quarter's assignment. He has help from his buddy Von Bell, but if Tyreek starts across his face, Apple only has his help up to a certain point, then he's on his own. He knows that Tyreek coming under exposes the deep post, so he's trying his best to stay inside of Demarcus Robinson, knowing that he no longer has deep help. Keeping a lid on the Chiefs' offense has confounded them for a good chunk of the season, which is why it's so critical that they run the ball better and more often, which then brings that second safety down and creates the 1 high coverage they've dominated against for years. Look at the bottom how the Chiefs have the same formation with Tyreek again motioning across, but now the Bengals defense is different because of the Chiefs' running success. Von Bell is down in the box to help against the run, so the Bengals have just 1 high safety in the middle of the field, which changes Apple's technique from before. When Robinson releases inside, Apple can stay outside of him because he knows he has help from the deep middle safety. Now he's outside, trying to funnel Robinson inside, but the problem is the Chiefs are running that same double post concept, now with a little wrinkle, where Robinson is running a Dino route, which is like a double move post, and since Apple is outside leverage, this creates a wide open middle of the field. Another massive shift in their season was when they became more balanced by incorporating guys like Robinson, Byron Pringle, and Mecole Hardman instead of just Tyreek and Kelce. Those 3 guys consistently get one-on-ones outside, but earlier in the season Mahomes was pretty much ignoring them. Now, especially Pringle has turned into a viable playmaking threat. His targets have gone up, and so have Hardman's and Robinson's. Now when the Chiefs see the defense's plan is to double Kelce or Tyreek, they trust those other guys to fill the space that's voided to take advantage of what the defense is giving them. When the Chiefs saw the Bengals bring down a same side safety to help against Kelce and were playing man coverage, they go back to old reliable jet chip wasp, which they used to win the Super Bowl, but now they don't need Tyreek to run it because they trust Hardman to make it happen. Speaking of Tyreek, it should be noted that he's become much more of a possession underneath receiver and hasn't really gotten back on track, at least from a statistical standpoint, and I don't think that's because his talent is diminished in any way, just that defenses have made adjustments to almost always have a second safety deep over the top for him, or just at least a defined plan for him every single play. His targets and average depth of target keep going down, so now he's more of a guy who settles in underneath zones and can hopefully create some yards after the catch. So things have changed with him not as much a part of the offense, and the Chiefs have also had to learn how to scheme up looks against different kinds of defense, and that sent Andy Reid back to his little hole, or favorite place to get chocolate cake, wherever he goes to start scheming up new looks, and it's most obvious in their screen game, which has been rejuvenated. Let me show you this 3-play sample to explain how he sequences and sets up plays where first they use this spider 2 wide banana type of look, where spider 2 refers to the line sliding left and the running back kicking out TJ Watt, but use a cool wrinkle with Mecole Hardman running what's typically the fullback's route to the flat, which is smart because they run him on jet motion like this all the time where he doesn't get the ball. Then here in the low red zone, they run him on jet motion again, and watch Watt, who now expects to be kicked out by the running back, but Mahomes does this little ski ball throw to him on the screen. And then Andy knows he can tie those together with the same motion from Hardman and have Kelce block for a half second to mess up the Bengals coverage, then sneak him underneath for an easy touchdown. What's still surprising to me is that teams haven't tried to fully duplicate the model that teams like the Titans and Giants so successfully used with the too high, soft zone coverage heavy game plans, but that goes to show how even a little more success in the run game like the Chiefs have had scares teams off from getting run all over. The other thing that we didn't really talk about is how many drops the Chiefs had in weeks 7 to 13. Hell, weeks 1 through 13 they had 30 drops, but in weeks 14 and on, they've had just 1. When defenses are playing deeper and daring you to execute underneath, those drops can be absolutely backbreaking and can throw you off rhythm. But now, this offense certainly feels like it's back. It took some time for them to adjust to how defenses are now playing them, and their answers for the too high, soft zone, non-blitzing style they faced are to run the ball more, play with heavier personnel, incorporate the rest of their skill guys, force defenses back into one high coverages, rip them up with scheme, and now they're dropping 35 points a game and are fresh off banishing Ben away forever. You want a team that's peaking at the right time? How about a team that's gone through the most adversity, stared it down, and overhauled their entire offense? The defense has been great, the offense is back in action, and the Kansas City Chiefs are once again nearing immortality.